transition of power in Senegal would mark a boost for democracy in West Africa, where there have been 8 military coups since 2020. Some of the juntas that seized power have cut ties with traditional power brokers in the region, such as France and the United States, and turned instead to Russia for help in their fight against the jihadist insurgency spreading through countries that neighbor Senegal. Senegal's international bonds rose on reports that Faye was close to being declared a winner, reversing sharp falls from earlier in the day. The entire story is captured in page 5 of today's edition of the Daily Graphic newspaper. And so we'll get into the conversation. I gave you a preamble, told you how elections were supposed to be held in February, but the president, outgoing president, by April, he will no longer be the president of Senegal, Macky Sall. Already there were conversations about him entertaining the thoughts of going for a third term. That also was stiffly opposed. Issues in relation to gagging people and putting his opponents in jail arose. We remember Ousmane Sonko, who actually is the founder of this current party, or of this party that has seen Faye win the election there. I have a few concerns, and I was telling my guests here on the show, even before we started, that now that Ousmane Sonko, whose right-hand man has now been, it appears he's won the elections in Senegal, do you not think that there is going to be Sonko is going to be playing a pivotal role in this administration? It was supposed to be him in the first place. That is his position. He would have been in this position, but for all the shenanigans of, Macky Sall, this would have been him. It would have been him, clinching this victory. He actually selected a Faye, say that, look, currently I'm not in the position because I've been disqualified, but you go. And he told the Senegalese people, if a vote for Faye is a vote for me, so vote for him. So now that Faye has won, what comes of the relevance of Ousmane Sonko in that regard? For me, it is important because oftentimes we have young people rise to these positions. We have, I wouldn't say overblown expectations, but we have so much we expect of them, and I mean, they flatter to deceive. So in this situation, do you see any form of situation where Ousmane Sonko would feel that okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, and then you've come to take my position, despite the fact that I gave it to you? And so there could be that situation where he becomes a shadow president. I'm starting with you, Mr. Ramsey.
Good morning to you, Bless, once again. And a very good morning to the good people of Ghana and the founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Honorable Alan Kojo Trematin. Bless, let me take this opportunity to congratulate our fellow Africans in Senegal for allowing democracy to prevail and democracy to be the order of the day. I do share the same sentiments with you, but it's quite early days yet, right? Because it doesn't matter who started it, but once the ideology is homogeneous to the members that follow such revolutionary movement to bring a change in Senegal, then I think that we might have a contradictory view to some of the sentiments that we share here. So I believe that, yes, Ousmane Sonko would have a pivotal role to play as far as the governance of Senegal is concerned. And don't forget that he has fought a hard fight, Bless.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all. And looking at how Macky Sall and his team of executives that ganged up against the opposition and used Machiavellian tactics to delay the election and even disqualify him should show that they've been through a lot. And I hope that the Senegalese people and other African countries would learn a big lesson from this, especially ECOWAS, which we've seen a destabilized region in West Africa for quite some time now. And I believe that we can learn from it, and Ghana as well. And going forward, we will hope that we will see, a vigorous constitutional review and reform in various West African countries so that they can be able to mitigate the propagation of absolute power by these constitutions, as we've seen in our 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. So I think that yes, it's too early to call, but let's hope that things will get better for our dear brothers and sisters in Senegal, and I wish them all the best.
But I mean, then again, I want to find out from you, were you surprised by the results, especially if you see the sort of effort, so to speak, that the ruling administration had put in order to skew this election in their favor? Macky Sall was leaving no stone unturned in order to ensure that he had a candidate in there who would win and continue his government. Are you surprised by how this has played out?
Bless, I'm not surprised at all. I am not surprised at all. Because the ruling government, the incumbent government, knew very clearly that they were losing the election. And they had to use all manners and means to their disposition to make sure that they subvert the will of the people. And look, Bless, when the people rise up against you, not even the seas can drown their aspirations for change. And so the people of Senegal have shown clearly that they are tired of the corrupt administration of Macky Sall that has not been able to contribute enormously to their social and economic development. And look, just as we have in Ghana, whether this current administration likes it or not, and they even give one citizen one laptop, the people of Ghana come December 7th would definitely express their will for a change, an absolute change beyond the duopoly of the MPP and the NDC.
Right, thank you very much. Let me come to my good brother, Salon Dramani Jamado, to also share his thoughts with us on this latest development in neighboring Senegal with regards to their election. He is a freedom fighter himself. Ousmane Sonko, Faye, they all fall in that bracket as well. I'm sure this is a victory for you personally.
Oh, sure. Sure. I was quite elated when I saw the result trickling in yesterday, which actually showed that Faye was going to win the election. Like you said, as a freedom fighter and somebody who sees corruption as a pet hate or a bête noire, when I see fellow Africans fighting corruption tooth and nail, I'm always excited. And then, especially when you have somebody from that fold now having the responsibility now to fight corruption. It actually warms the cockles of my heart, especially his age. He was born 1980, and that is the kind of thing I want to see on this continent. You know, people from that age group. The gerontocracy must be truncated, because you know every era and its leadership. When you are in a digital world and you have analog minds taking analog minds steering affairs of a country in a digital world, that country cannot make the kind of progress it should have. You see, it should make. And that is exactly what is happening in Ghana. We have an analog mind in the helm of affairs. in a digital world. That is an irony. You see, that is why, like, there's some kind of retardation. You see, our growth and development is retarding. Today, what is the growth rate? Our growth rate even speaks volume of the kind of mind that is leading this country. Your sentiments about whether Fire will have the latitude to state affairs of Senegal because of his close association with Sonko. On the ballot was Fire, not Sonko. So Sonko isn't even, say, the president that is exiting power, because we have even seen a situation where a president who imposed somebody on his party and the people voted for that person, and there was a friction between that president and the person who his predecessor. So there was a friction between the successor and the predecessor, even though it was the predecessor who helped him to come to power. So Fire will now have the opportunity to demonstrate his mettle, you understand, to make good his promise that he hates corruption, and he sees corruption as something that is militating against the aspirations and dreams of the people of Senegal. He has the opportunity now to prove that. And he has the opportunity to also prove to the world that when you are that age and you assume that position, you have both the brain and the brawn to work in the interest of your people. That is it. So I'm quite elated, and I pray that his stewardship will be a roaring success for the good people of Senegal, to prove that. I think Doc was saying something about his candidature as an independent person or candidate. Yes. When you look at what is happening on the continent now, people are getting fed up with political parties, because the political parties have not quite risen to the task, you understand? So political parties have just become entities for selfish individuals. That is why political parties, no. I don't see, nothing, ever gets me attracted to become a member of a political party. One, when you join a political party, you are going to lose your sense of independence. That one is key, because when even what you want to say is in the interest of the people of this country, once the political party has taken a decision that is contrary to that, you must necessarily toe that line. You understand? And that will be pretty difficult for somebody like me to do, because I've always been an independent-minded person. You understand? Because I always say that the interest of Ghana is far broader than the interest of political parties. I hope you agree with me. You understand? So let's say the NPP political party that is in the helms today, the interest of Ghana supersedes that of the interest of the NPP. But the NPP will do whatever to even shortchange Ghana, once that will inure to their political or their partisan interest. You understand? That is why people on the continent, especially the young ones on the continent, are fed up or are getting fed up with political parties. You understand? But in Ghana, as we speak today, the only thing that will not make my brother here's candidate, his candidate is the independent parliamentary candidate, right? Sorry, the independent presidential candidate. That is the Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin. Fortunately or unfortunately, the time will not favor him, because we have a formidable, winsome, handsome, credible candidate that the NDC political party is fielding for this election.
You say credible?
Yes, please. I say credible. And maybe let me say that again. I say credible. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the most credible, the most formidable, the most winsome and handsome candidate in the 2024 election. And that is his trump card. That is what he's going to use to win this election. He's the most credible. Why? Doc, would you maybe you are itching to know why I describe him as credible? Because he has never conducted himself in a manner to show that he's not a credible person. You understand? Unlike the other one, the vice president of the republic, who is the candidate of the NPP, look at that man and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. They are poles apart. There's a wall of difference between the two. And since your candidate is not the one maybe who I would say have or stands a dog chance in this election, I will not waste time to discuss him because of how he himself played the politics. You understand how he himself played this politics of involving himself in this Akufo-Addo kleptocracy. You understand? Akufo-Addo's government is reputed as the most kleptocratic government Ghana has ever witnessed. You understand? So if you have somebody who has taken part or played a role in that government, and it got to a stage where he himself now decided to contest to become a flag bearer of that party, and for some reason he decided again to become an independent person or an independent presidential candidate, that person cannot hold candle to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. That is the point.
Right. I'm pretty surprised that conversations in relation to Senegal have actually
because our situations, our circumstances are homogeneous. Please, the circumstances that prevail in Senegal and in Ghana are similar or identical. You understand? Because is it about unemployment? Is it about inflation? Is it about interest rate? Is it about corruption? All those things obtain in Ghana as we speak. You understand? So we cannot speak about or talk about the event in Senegal without making references to what is happening here in Ghana.
Bless.
You understand?
I think that for purposes of viewer education and making sure that the Ghanaian society gets the truth and nothing else but the truth. It shows clearly what my brother is here to speak about, and he has his own personal agenda. But I'm not surprised of this because we hear about activist movements and proxy groups that have been created by political parties, shadow proxy groups that are being pushed behind closed doors by political parties to come and push their agenda. If my brother here sits down here today and tells the people of Ghana and looks them in the face and tell us that John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, the former president, is the most credible candidate going into this election, I don't think my brother is privy to the political landscape of this republic.
Right.
Yes, I don't think you are privy to it. Now, if you tell me that Honorable Alan Kojo Tramantin, who is the only candidate that has the character, the competence, and the credibility, and the only candidate in this race that no one can associate with any corrupt activity since he started his political career, I think that you should go and do further research on the candidature of Honorable Alan Kojo Tramantin. And let me give you the analogy of the Black Stars. Do you agree that the Black Stars perform abysmally in the just ended AFCON? Do you agree? Do you agree? Bless, do you agree?
Why do I think you'll be talking about Kudus after that?
No. Do you agree?
Yeah,
no. Do you agree?
I do agree. 100%.
Do you agree?
Just make your point.
No, I'm asking you a question. No, I'm asking you a question. We're having a conversation. Do you agree that the Black Stars performed abysmally? Do you agree?
To the extent that I am not a sports...
it doesn't matter, but you are privy to information.
To the extent that I am not a football enthusiast or aficionado, I am unable to answer. I am unable to answer that question.
Clearly, it shows that you are being dishonest here.
I am not being dishonest. I am not being disingenuous. Let me we are talking about credibility, and there are questions that may emanate from you.
Please let me make my point. The Black Stars perform abysmally. This is public knowledge.
Oh, okay.
However, you can't say that because the Black Stars perform abysmally, Mohamed Kudus did not perform well. He has his role to play in the national team. And if we can say indeed that Kudus played very well and contributed enormously to the team, then you can't associate any flaws in the NPP government to my candidate. It does not make sense, and I will not tolerate that. Please. So I've given you the simplest analogy for your understanding.
Your analogy doesn't hold because you are doing this what is called chalk and cheese. Using the Black Star to illustrate your point is even flawed because the Black Star, the Black Star is a team, and what obtains in a football team is not what obtains in administering a country.
My brother, it's a paradigm.
It is not. It is not.
Governance is not done by one person.
Analogous. That is not analogous. That is not analogous at all. Yes, I repeat that the most credible, formidable, winsome, handsome candidate in the 2024 election is not the independent presidential candidate, but His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And let me quickly debunk what he says about political parties forming proxy groups in the name of pressure groups who do their bidding. Bless. I have been doing this political activism for about 24 years now. I have seen political parties in government. I have seen political parties in opposition. The gentleman is campaigning for today, with his Honorable Alan Tremantin, was in the Kufuor administration. Was he not the one who was Ghana's ambassador to the US and was later brought to Ghana to handle the presidential special initiatives? Because when I didn't even know that we're coming to talk like this thing will even crop up in our conversation, I would have brought something. Alan Tremantin in 2008, when he was interviewed on Radio Gold, it was 2008, about the presidential special initiatives. He said that the presidential special initiatives were being done by some private Ghanaian citizens. Okay? That same day, the Honorable Jogati was also interviewed, and what he said sharply contradicted what Alan Tremantin said. Look, the fact that you are trumpeting.
Yes, I was propelled by the private sector. It's public knowledge.
Go and check that interview.
Please. So you don't have any facts here. It's not a fact. Right. It's just mere propaganda. Please.
It is not a propaganda.
Please.
It is not a propaganda. Even if you say it's a propaganda, if you say it's a propaganda, because it doesn't inure to the political fortunes of your candidate, that is why you are
discussing. Fact, we would agree to it. What do you mean by it doesn't inure? If it's fact, we will agree to it.
Right. So it is a fact. You cannot move with this group and later come and tell us that your candidate is credible.
And Mahama is the most credible.
Is the most credible.
You are being dishonest. I am not. You are being dishonest.
I am not, bro.
Absolutely dishonest.
I am not being dishonest.
Absolutely dishonest.
I am not.
The morning show. This is the review segment of the morning show. We just ended our conversation with relations to Senegal. They have held elections, and results coming in indicate that Faye, who is Ousmane Sonko's right-hand man, has emerged victor or has emerged victorious in this race, and for the next 5 years he's going to be leading the country. 44 years old of age, and that makes him one of the very youngest presidents on the continent. It's not often times we see people in that age bracket, you know, ascend to the high office of presidency, but he's done that. Maybe such a thing is going to repeat itself in Ghana, Cheddar for that matter. Well, well, maybe not. But let's move on to our next topic, and I'm still expecting Osman Ayariga, by the way. Let's proceed to our next topic. Well, if you're thinking of getting a schedule with regards to the recent intermittent power rationing by the Electricity Company of Ghana, if you think that you're going to be getting a schedule in order to plan your life around the times that these people will take the lights and the times that the lights will be restored, well, you'd have to think again and then perhaps banish that thought, because the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has come out to say that, look, those of you who are calling for Dumsor timetable, you can get one done yourself. You can do your own timetable. Let me read the story. The Minister of Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has suggested that those asking for a timetable for the erratic power outages ongoing in the country should provide it themselves. In what can be termed as a cheeky answer to a question posed by a journalist in a video shared on X, the minister stated that he does not see the need for any timetable when the power distributor says what is currently happening in the country does not need one. Ask those who want it to bring it. If there is, I haven't seen any timetable, he stated. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh had earlier denied that the country has returned to the days of Dumsor as what the erratic power supply in the country under John Mahama was referred to. If we are comparing 4 years, NPP administration, energy sector is 300 times better than John Mahama. It's far much better than John Mahama ever did. I've promised you that we are going to work on it, and it's not a work that is a single event. It's a process, and we will continue to work on it for the energy sector to become better, he stated. The story goes on and on and on, but I mean, there can be no denying that, of course, there's power rationing going on, and I'm sure that all of us sitting here have had to bear the brunt, you know, of the current erratic power situation.
Consistent.
Very
current. Consistent.
Yes, consistent, you know, consistently erratic.
This is like Sankofa.
Right, right. But here is the minister, the energy minister, telling us that that is not what we're experiencing. Meanwhile, I don't know if you are aware, but the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PURC, has given them an ultimatum. I think by 5th April or so, they're supposed to come out with a timetable. But what this minister is telling us now means that we cannot expect a timetable now. And I called ECG, I think on Friday. Whenever they take my lights, I call them to find out the time they'll return. So I called them, and they were frank with me that we have a supply shortfall. So our suppliers, Gridco, have not given them the power. So if they don't have the power, how would they be able to distribute it? Exactly. That is the situation. But we have a minister who is telling us that, look, if you think that you need a Dumsor timetable, go get one yourself. From where you sit, and I've heard people say that the current Dumsor situation is a generational, issue. It's a generational capacity issue. But from where you sit, what do you fundamentally think is the problem that is occasioning the current power outages?
Okay. Thank you once more, Bless. The current issue with Dumsor is something that we've experienced since the inception of our Fourth Republic. I quietly remember the Dumsor ride that we were taking for 4 years by the former President John Dramani Mahama, and now currently this abysmally performed administration of President Akufo-Addo. You see, Bless, we are always reactive to a problem and do not find long-term table solutions to our energy crisis. The energy crisis as it stands now has various factors contributing to it. Number one is the loss of power due to distribution from our national grid, right? Number two is the inability of the ECG to collect its monies from users of electricity. And then the third one is to do with archaic or old electricity distribution infrastructures across the nation that needs to be revamped and developed as far as our electrical distribution is concerned. Bless. We under the Movement for Change, led by the visionary leader, Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, who has realized this surge in energy distribution and the crisis we face as a country. We need to diversify the sources of our energy. Bless. We know the population growth of Ghana, that from this year to the next 10 to 20 years, the Ghanaian society would grow to a certain percentage, as would be done by the Ghana Statistical Service, right? So we need a long-term developmental plan to tackle the growth, because as we grow as a society, we would also, have a huge demand for electricity. And so Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, under his great transformational plan, has realized that there is indeed a need to diversify our energy sources. And he is proposing that we bring in clean nuclear energy to supply, to create, which is more efficient and generate more energy as compared to the hydroelectric dam and then the gas power plant that we have in Atuabo, you understand. So we would also create a nuclear power plant that would also help supply the national grid. Secondly as well, he would also create an enabling environment so that the private sector can set up huge solar farms to harvest or to harness the ability of our country to take advantage of our position as the center of the world, where we're currently at the equator, where we can get a lot of sunlight to be able to harvest sunlight for electrical production, which is also in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 7, which talks about affordable and clean energy. And so we have tailored down solutions under the Great Transformational Plan. The crisis as it is, I would be glad if the MPP government would be honest to the people of Ghana, right? To tell the people of Ghana where we stand now as far as our electrical distribution issues concerned. We've lost trust in these two dominant political parties, Bless, because none of them have been able to lay down a long-term developmental plan to fit the needs of our people. And today, as a country, it's 2024, for God's sake. We can't be discussing issues of electrical shortages in our country, right? And it clearly shows that since the inception of our Fourth Republic, since 1992, none of these political parties have been able to meet the desires of Ghanaians. And they are the same face of the coin. Right, they are the same face of the coin. Both the MPP and the NDC are the same in terms of the values and what they contribute to this country. And so I'll be glad if the MPP government and the Honorable Minister for Energy would come out clearly and clean and not have a very pompous and arrogant posture in deliberating in issues that are severe and have serious repercussion to businesses in this country. Because if we go back to the days of President Mahama and looking at the current economic situation, Bless, can you imagine how much businesses will lose? Even in this studio today, you would have to run on generators. And look at even the cost of fuel today as a country. So businesses would definitely lose a lot, and more businesses will collapse. And so we need to change the orientation of how we produce energy. And talking about the loss of distribution as far as our power supply is concerned. Look, Bless, Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin, who I call the reincarnation of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, has realized that there is a loss of energy as far as distribution is concerned. And he has proposed that let us build industrial parks and agro parks closer to these national supply grids, so that we can be able to harness these energies that are lost for industrial purposes. And so you would have industrial companies that would operate in an industrial enclave that would produce goods and services to the people of Ghana and export it so that we can be able to get foreign exchange, and then also transform our economy from the import-oriented one to an export-driven one. That would create a lot of employment opportunities for the teeming youth of this country and will strengthen our city as far as the city depreciation is concerned. And these are all, what do you call it, innovative ideas that this man has under his great transformational plan. And none of these two major parties have been able to tailor down a very viable solution to solve our energy crisis once and for all. The Akosombo Dam is a ticking time bomb. You know that. And it has almost exceeded its lifespan. So what will happen is that if the Akosombo Dam is no more, let's look at how it would affect the energy crisis even of our country. It would affect us severely as a country. And so we need a leader that has a long-term developmental plan as far as our energy needs is concerned. And so far, I can say that the great transformational plan is leading the way in terms of solutions, pragmatic solutions to our energy crisis.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramsey Inusa. Now let me come to Selon Dramani Jamado to also share his 2 cents with us on the current intermittent power outages.
Bless, thank you very much for the opportunity to also express my opinion on what the minister said. I think it was about a question a journalist asked the minister.
Yep.
Whether the journalist just wanted to know when they would release a timetable for the load shedding. Okay, so the minister said that we should produce or we should draw the timetable ourselves. Bless. You see, sometimes when you, not sometimes, oftentimes when you listen to government appointees talk this way, it's so exasperating. It's so exasperating because who pays that chap? It's you and I who pay that chap. And that chap is there to make sure that there is no intermittent power supply or erratic power supply. That is his mandate. What we are experiencing is contrary to his mandate. And we are asking him to be honest to draw a timetable for us. And he's telling us to draw the timetable ourselves. That is redolent of arrogance and pride. And that gentleman, we all know that he's a very arrogant individual. It's so superzealous and haughty. Whenever he has the opportunity to address, he's full of himself.
But this is a man who has been touted and also taped to become eventually the running mate of the leader of the New Patriotic Party.
But that is no news, because what has been the posturing of the government itself.
That's your perception of him, that he's a haughty.
He's a haughty, supercilious individual. That is what you don't know.
That's your perception.
That is Ghanaian's perception. We all know Napo. Napo is a very arrogant person who is full of himself. He's full of himself. Look, his countenance and demeanor in responding to the question the journalist was asking, that question was innocuous and harmless. Okay? It was a question that a duty bearer must answer. But he chose to be arrogant in his response, quite in sync with his conduct in both in public. I was going to say private because I've never met him in private before, but in public, he's a very arrogant person. You understand? The thing that I think is holding this government together is the inability of the Ghanaian youth to one day rise up and say, enough is enough. Because that gentleman, for instance, today, he should have been running the gauntlet of the public today, this morning. That is what should be happening to that man. That man today, his office should have even been besieged, because he is the minister of a very sensitive sector. That is the energy sector. And if that is the response from that man, that can only tell you what he's been doing in that office. Bless that gentleman, Napo. We should mount a relentless, incessant pressure on Napo to resign from that office, because his continuous stay in that office will be injurious to our economic well-being, because that is the energy sector, and the energy sector is what like our country revolves around. You understand? That is the energy. So if energy minister is speaking this way, what is Dumso? Bless. In 2015, 2016, thereabout, Dumso was at its peak, which even necessitated that, which occasioned the use of that word, or it popularized the word Dumso. Today, it is happening. The same thing is happening today. And it was that thing that the MPP piggybacked on. They rode on that thing to come to power. Bless. Before His Excellency John Dramani Mahama exited power in 2016, our lights were on. Bless. Our lights were on. Which is why when His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was on the floor of Parliament to give the State of the Nation address, he said that he promised to keep the lights on, and the lights were on. That was what Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said in one of his State of the Nation addresses. He said he promised to keep the lights on, and the lights were on. So anybody with a minimal standards of comprehension would know that then that statement presupposes that the lights were on before he came to power. You are a literature man, you do content analysis of stuff. So if somebody says that, does that not mean that the lights were on before he came? Because he said he promised to keep the lights on. He didn't say that he promised to switch on the lights. So it means that the person who exited power, his predecessor, actually switched on the lights before he came. And today, he's in the helm, and we are experiencing Dumso, and we are asking you to give us timetable, and you have the temerity to tell us that we should draw the timetable ourselves. And that person is still there, being paid with our taxpayers' money. What kind of country is this? That guy, that Napo guy, by now, you see, Ghanaian youths who are jobless, bearing the brunt and the pinch of this mismanagement of our economy by kleptocrats, criminals in power. They should by now be gathering somewhere, planning how to besiege that office to hound that minister out, because he's not there for our interest. He's not there to push our interest. That is what it is. Otherwise, what in God's name will make a minister give that response? Look, bless. I remember 2009 when Professor Mills assumed office and appointed his ministers. I think it was the Honorable Kujetu Ablakwa who said something, and that thing actually etched on my memory. He said that when you are in government, you have the responsibility to be measured in what you say, your choice of words when you are in government. By in opposition, because you are mounting pressure and full of fire, there are times where you may even go your statement or response may even be overboard. But in government, it is a responsibility that you have to weigh your words, your responses, before you utter them. On this occasion, this minister has yet again demonstrated his arrogant nature, his haughty nature, that sickness of Hebrew. He demonstrated it. I saw the video, and how you see this one is not like a journalist trying to find a problem for you, that kind of thing that journalists will mischievously ask a question. There was no iota of mischief or malice in the question the journalist asked. The journalist only asked a question that is on the lips or the mouth of everybody in Ghana, that when is the ministry going to release a timetable for the Dumsor? And I don't think that the minister is unaware that the public is demanding a timetable for the Dumsor or the load shedding. You see, that minister by now should be contemplating resignation. Bless, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Though extremely late, Osman is here. Osman, good morning.
Good morning to you, Bless.
I also
apologize for coming in late. Apologize to your viewers. I had an emergency this morning I had to take care of. Yes, the situation on our road to traffic
terrible,
here. I was trying to navigate around
a
few places to be able to be here, but it's better late
than never. That's true. So we've been talking about the current power issues. It appears that we are in crisis, but government has been denying that. The energy minister has come out to tell Ghanaians that those who want a Dumsor timetable, should actually create one themselves. Despite the fact that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PRC) has given them an ultimatum that by I think April 5 they should be able to come out with a timetable. But with the minister coming out to say this, it means that the ECG, Electricity Company of Ghana, would not heed to what the PURC is saying. I've been trying to find out exactly what is wrong with the energy sector, especially with the generation of electricity. Is it, as we've been made to believe, that we have issues with our transformers and they are being fixed, or there are other problems that the average Ghanaian may be unaware of?
Bless, and good morning to my big brother. Good morning to
Good morning.
I think we need to appreciate where we're coming from and where we are so far as the energy sector is concerned, because energy has so many variables and so many stages you need to meet and so many things you need to achieve before the lights are actually on. There's the issue of generation capacity, and there's also the issue of actually transmission. And beyond transmission to there's a financial element or component so far as energy is concerned. And at any point, if you get any of these variables wrong, then of course you're not going to have lights on. So you need to understand where you're going, where you're coming from, and how you're going to deal with it. Well, let's not forget that before the NDC handed over power to the MPP, there was no Dumsor. I think that point needs to be made, and needs to be made strongly. This continuous comparison that, there was Dumsor under Mahama, there was Dumsor under Mahama, I think we need to really establish the facts and make the facts known. Now, you would bear with me that from the year 2010 to about 2012, we had installed generation capacity of 2,165 megawatts. Then we were hit by Dumsor somewhere around between 2013 and 2014. Now, the government of the day under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made it a solemn promise that we were going to end Dumso and we're going to try as much as possible to double our installed generation capacity. That was when, if you remember, we had to bring in some emergency power badges so as to augment or help in the generation capacity. Because energy is not ridden on mere rhetorics and words. Energy is generated through turbines, it's generated through machines, through equipment, through generators. So we're able to increase it. By the time we left over power and all our agreements that we signed, by 2020, there was installed generation capacity of 5,288 megawatts of installed generation capacity. But just like a car, you may have a car whose speedometer, the right well, is 200 kilometers per hour, but hardly can the car actually get to 200 kilometers per hour. You can't speed the car to the level of 200 kilometers. So there's something they call the dependable capacity. So even though we had about 5,000 megawatts, the dependable capacity was 4,842 megawatts. And even at the time, at peak time, all we needed was 3,090 megawatts. And of course, whilst you are transmitting, there'll be some transmission losses. That was around 800 megawatts. Now, if you also look at, this is what the NDC did so far as generation is concerned. So we did what we call the generation. Now, beyond generation, you also need to look at coverage, because you see, you can generate the power and people don't have access to the power. You need to let people understand that beyond we generating the power, we also distributed and made sure that people in my village, people in your village, people in his village have energy. So you realize that you have supplied or you generated the energy, but the numbers or the people who are consuming the energy have also increased. By 2009, when we handed over power to the entire Ghana, the coverage was 66.7% of coverage. And by the time we left power in 2016, we had increased it to 82.5%. So we had jumped from 62 to, that was about close to 20% increment so far as coverage is concerned. Now, if you look at the NPP from 2016 to from 2017 that they took over power to 2020, they only increased coverage by 2.5% in 4 years, whilst we were doing every 4 years an average of 10%. So they were just about 2.5%. Now, why do I even go about this analysis? I want you to understand between the two parties, who has generated more in terms of energy and who has even distributed more in terms of coverage. We have done more in generation, we have done more in distribution so far as coverage is concerned. Then I can give you some of the things that helped us, or some of the arrangements or agreements. We had a car power, which are 225 megawatts. We had Ameri, 250 megawatts, Con Thermal, 220 megawatts, Asogli Phase 1, 180 megawatts, and we had the 2 megawatt solar plant. So you realize that this hasn't just been about rhetorics. The plants are there to show. The agreements are there to show. The power was there to show. So when we come out and we say that we solved Dumso, we know and we knew what we were talking about. It wasn't just about stories or mere rhetorics. We have solved it so far as generation is concerned, and we have solved it also so far as coverage is concerned, because we generated the power and made sure that good number or good percentage of Ghanaians had energy at their various homes. Now, you would realize that in this current state, the Dumso we are experiencing has nothing to do with generation capacity. It has nothing to do with what's the other reason they gave? Maintenance of transformers. It has very little to do with it. Absolutely nothing. In any case, it's even an insult to the sensibilities of Ghanaians for someone to come and tell me that we are going through Dumso because of transformers or maintenance of transformers. In fact, I'd rather buy a story of you telling me that there's been an emergency and there's been an explosion of maybe a substation or a transformer, but for you to come and tell me that I'm going through Dumso as a result of maintenance of transformers in this magnitude and volume, it's an insult to the sensibilities of Ghanaians. You run a company, are you trying to tell me you don't have a maintenance plan? You don't have engineers that tell you that this is the time we should be doing maintenance so that we don't have some pressure or effect on our consumers. Is that what you are trying to tell me? Here in this company, Pan-African TV, don't you go through maintenance? You do maintenance on a daily basis. Sometimes you have a maintenance plan, but you do maintenance at a time that it is not going to affect your broadcasting.
Sure.
That is how a proper company plans. You don't come and tell us that you are doing maintenance and for that matter there is doom. It's an insult to the sensibilities of Ghanaians and to our intelligence. That is the greatest insult we can ever find. Then we tell you, and we've been telling you since time immemorial, that very soon we are heading for doom. So you remember recently some of the PPs, the power providers, the independent IPPs, sorry, yes. You remember recently the IPPs shut down some of their generation turbines. And if it's at a point, even had to take the former president to plead on behalf of Ghanaians. I think that was somewhere last year, September, thereabouts. It is an issue of finances. It has very little or nothing to do with maintenance of transformers. Why? Is this the first time we are maintaining transformers? Is it the first time we are undergoing maintenance? No. So why then do you try to create this, excuse my language, cock and bull story to tell we well-reasoning, thinking Ghanaians, thinking that we just buy the story hook, line, sinker, because we do not think, or because you put our lights off so our brains are also off? That is an insult to us. The next thing is that they need to accept that one, they have messed up in the energy sector. Because when it comes to comparison between the NDC and the MPP, the MPP has no track record so far as the energy sector is concerned. Now, to the very arrogant minister, very, very, very arrogant and disrespectful, despicable, the least to say. I don't know why he's still in that office. Because as an office holder, a public office holder, humility should be part of your hallmark, because you are paid by our taxes. We do not ask you questions and you return it with arrogance and insults to us. Very, very, very arrogant and disrespectful.
But that is the hallmark of
very arrogant and disrespectful. Well, he's learning from his boss, because a whole chief asked his boss about an e-block and he told him that he should go and complete it. So if Nanado can be this arrogant, I'm not surprised Napo is equally arrogant. It's a party of arrogant people, very, very arrogant, who feel that they are doing us a favor by running this country in the wrong direction. You came to us begging. You came to Ghanaians begging for votes. Today you have the vote. You are made president and you have decided to be utterly arrogant at everybody. Ghana is not your private company. It belongs to we Ghanaians, and Ghanaians voted for you. So if you have been voted into power, you need to at least, knowing that you are being paid by the taxpayers, you are not a businessman. So you need to show some decorum, respect, and humility to the Ghanaian people. How can a journalist ask you? And this is a question on the lips of every Ghanaian. I am asking, he's asking, you are asking. Because we need to plan our lives. I cannot be going home and not know and be praying that, please God, today don't let them put out my light. But if I know that Tuesday evening I'm not going to have light, I know how I'm planning my day. Exactly. If I know Wednesday afternoon I'm not going to have light, I know how I plan my day. If I know Friday I don't have light, I'll plan my day. When we were struck with doom, so we're bold enough to announce a timetable. The Ghanaians, this is the situation, but we are working assiduously to solve the problem.
We actually demanded it, and you provided.
Yes, I'm saying we provided Ghanaians with a timetable.
Ghanaians will not demand a timetable for doing so. They demand a plan, a long-term developmental plan to solve this problem.
No, we are coming to that.
If my fellow panelist is saying that he's using that as a bargaining chip.
Ramsey, would you let me speak? You have been speaking, so let me.
This is about the minister's response. I think that is the topic here. It's not about
as for
the solution
as for this my butterfly brother. I don't know where he's coming from. But this morning, so you are in support of the minister's response?
I am not in support of, but the statement you made that during the NDC's era, when they demanded for the timetable, it was given. And my point is that you should not even say that in the first place.
No, but what said that? No, Ramsey, I'm coming. I'm coming. Ramsey,
I want to ask him a question. I want to know.
I am not supporting the
Yes, I'll come to you.
My point is that he is eulogizing to some of his commentaries. Please.
No eulogizing.
So I want to ask you a question. Yeah. So in essence, you are saying that the NDC took Ghana to doom so?
Absolutely.
You don't think that you don't think it was a generational issue
coming from an uninformed position? The greatest of respect. So that is a statement coming from an uninformed position. How can you say
it was a generational issue? No, but you started your argument.
Under Kufuor, how many megawatts do you have?
I'm saying this because
under Kufuor, how many megawatts do you have? If you don't add any megawatts, saying
that what is the topic? What are we discussing? It is the minister's remark. That is the topic we are discussing. It is not about preferring solutions to the problem. What is the topic? The topic is about the minister's response.
Please. Right. No. It's a reference. It's very relative. Look, we should not sit down here and pretend as if all is well.
But you said yes. But you started your submission by saying that Dumso is an age-old issue.
It's an age-old issue, and I'm saying that, and if the NDC would come and sit down here, the Ghanaian society will not take scripture lessons from a drinking bar. First and foremost, if the NDC will come and sit down here and say that, we took Ghana for a Dumso ride and then we solved it. Look, there are so many daunting issues as far as this issue is concerned. Why would we even be talking about energy crisis in the first place after 32 years of the dominance of MPP and NDC? Why do we have to talk about it? If you took over from President Atamios or President Kufuor and you had a long-term vision, developmental plan, looked at the population growth of Ghana, the energy crisis, and tackled it from the developmental, your own in tune developmental plan to solve our energy crisis once and for all, we will not be in this mess. Right. You understand? And so the problem of the energy crisis.
I'll come back to you.
And please. You've asked me a question. Anyway.
I'll come back to you.
Anyway.
Osman proceed.
Please, let's not come and sit down there
with his submission. Osman, kindly proceed.
No, we shouldn't be dishonest to the people of Ghana, honestly.
I don't know what Ramsey has eaten this morning. He has decided he's fasting. Okay. He should be more sober. I don't know where from all this blazing, all this.
I will not take lessons from a drinking bar. That's the people will not
allow him to proceed. He didn't.
The NDC talking about
he didn't interject when you were making your points. Kindly allow him.
He's talking about not taking scripture lessons from a drinking bar. He has forgotten that he himself, to people like us, will not take moral lessons from a brothel, which he swims in. So at least he should also be guided that they are in a brothel, so we are not going to take any moral lessons from them. And the question I asked was that if you do not generate any power, you'll be hit by Dumso. And I'm telling you that in the 8 years of Kufuor, looking at the growth rate of population of Ghanaians, if Kufuor had added at least even 1,000 to 1,500 megawatts, we wouldn't be hit by Dumso by 2014. This is tried knowledge.
Generators.
You remember those toys they went to buy in the name of generators? Those they went, what's the Rekubobe went to buy some toys in the name of generators. We are talking about energy and you are talking some.
And ask the clergy to go and pray.
To go and pray. We are talking and you are talking some. When it's energy, please, your MPP and your butterfly, when we are talking, do not talk some. When we are talking, do not talk some. If you don't know, I'm coming to you. If you don't know, would you let me speak? Would you let me speak? Would you let me speak?
Dr. Ramsey, respectfully.
Would you let me speak?
When you were speaking, you didn't.
Anyway,
would you let me speak?
Like I said,
and I have a problem when you continue to exhibit your ignorance. With the greatest of respect, you keep saying Rollins did nothing about energy. Rollins did nothing about energy. Don't forget that is factually incorrect. Unless you want to be ignorant, or you are just choosing to be ignorant in this country.
That cannot be true.
That can never be true. If not for anything at all, when it comes to coverage and distribution, nobody. He took the country from a coverage of about 25 to 30% coverage, electricity coverage. Check it, and increased it. Increased it to about 50%. My own hometown, Boko, didn't have energy. They didn't have lights, if not for the lights of Rollins.
Yes.
All the way to Tamale, to the north and out.
It was Rollins, 1996.
Go and check your facts. And don't forget, at the time, when there was Akosombo and Akosombo and the rest, most of that energy was being supplied to Valco. You understand? So as soon as at the point when Valco stopped its full operation, Ghana had so much power at the time that generation wasn't an issue. It now had to do with coverage. You get the point? So if you had so much energy that the citizens themselves didn't even have it, as a wise president, do you go building more thermal plants, or you think of how to distribute it to your people? When at the time, Valco wasn't even in full operation. So if you come and you want to speak like this for this purpose of propaganda and your butterfly, that is up to you. You understand? So Rollins increased coverage better than any president under the sun in this country called Ghana. I challenge you. If you have the facts, bring it out and let's see. After Rollins, then came Kufuor. When Kufuor took over power, because Rollins had done so much distribution of energy, then they now started the pressure on Akosombo. Then don't forget, there was the issue of droughts. So our energy generation was being determined by how the rainfall pattern. That was when Kufuor took pastors to Akosombo to go and pray for rain to fall. We didn't take pastors to Akosombo to go and pray. The party you belong to, or the party you used to belong to, that you pride yourself in, didn't even have the acumen to solve problems. All they did was to think that it was a spiritual problem. How can Dumso be a spiritual problem? You carry pastors to Akosombo to go and pray for rain to fall. How? Is that a serious political party? Is that a serious political party for you to proudly belong to? Please. Some of us cannot belong to such group of people who think that if there's Dumso, we should go and pray over the Akosombo Dam for rain to fall. So if Kufuor had put in place some of these measures, like His Excellency, the nation builder, the man with a vision, John Dramani Mahama did, we wouldn't be where we were in 2014. And when John Dramani Mahama was met with Dumso, he told you that I am the president at the moment and I will solve it. Before Akufo-Addo and Bawumia came, John Dramani Mahama had solved Dumso. Even Bawumia, if you read online portals, attested to the fact that yes, Mahama has solved Dumso, but we won't give him the credit because he was the president. He was supposed to solve it. So he solved it. So how do you want to do this 360 turn around and can't be telling me this bedtime stories you are telling us? Please don't do that. Now, my brother just said that it's better to give us a timetable for people to plan. And I said, yes, it's better to give a timetable for people to plan. See, the provision of a timetable is not an achievement.
No.
So if we said that even under NDC, when people ask for a timetable, we give them, how then do you jump in and think that we are happy we gave a timetable? No, it's not an achievement to be giving people a timetable. It can never be counted as an achievement. What I'm just trying to tell you is that we listen to the people, we give them a timetable. Once we solve the problem, that is what you do as a responsible government. You give them the timetable that we are met with challenges. But this is what we're going to be going through in the next 1 month. As you go through this crisis in the next 1 month, we are looking at how we can solve the problem. That is what a responsible government does. And that is what a very respectful energy minister does. I am reiterating the point that for NAPO to look into the eyes of Ghanaians and tell them that we should go and draw our own timetable alone shows that he's not qualified and fit to be in public office. The gross disrespect, the insult of it, that we should go and draw our own timetable. He is not fit to be in public office. And I'm calling that he must resign. Yeah. If he doesn't resign, the president should sack him. If he doesn't sack him, we will meet him in that office. We will besiege that office and sack him. Because he cannot continue to disrespect us if he doesn't apologize to the good people of this country. We will not take further insult. The president has insulted us enough. His ministers have insulted us enough. His vice president have insulted us enough. We cannot take NAPO also insulting us. Akufo-Addo has insulted us directly and indirectly. Bawumia has insulted us directly and indirectly. Today, NAPO also has the guts and the effort to look into our eyes and tell us to go and draw a timetable. The highest level of disrespect coming from an energy minister who wants to be running with this level of arrogance and this level of disrespect. Come on. Right. How did we get here as a country?
Right. I'm reading a few messages before I come to my big brother, Dr. Ramsey, for his rebuttal. This one here says, fact check. Rawlings added the Kpong Akuse Dam.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Thank you very much. That message came from Mark Wilson Oteng. Thank you, Mark Wilson Oteng, for your message. This one here says, the truth is that ECG is having money or liquidity problems, so they cannot pay the power producers because all their revenue collected has been lodged into Bank of Ghana account. From Officer Toro in Lashibi. Thank you for your message. Good morning, Bless. Can you imagine the cheeky and arrogance attitude of this group in power? Anyway, they are breeds of their leaders, so it's not surprising at all. This is the kind of person who wants to be a vice president indeed. BB from Accra, you sent in this one. We are very grateful. The butterfly is on top of the umbrella, and the umbrella is on top of the elephant. From Alaji Kajola. Alaji Kajola sent this one. Thank you, Alaji, for your message. Hi, Pan-African TV. My name is Anthony Bawa from Takrade. I think the butterfly man is beginning to sound like a typical MPP member, which is his
But he's an MPP member.
Which is his actual roots.
He hasn't left
butterfly
MPP. I'm not an he still has an MPP card.
Disassociate itself from the NPP.
Yes. I have an MPP card. Yes. Can you prove that?
Good morning, host. How can someone become a president for promising to create a sea from Accra to Kumasi? If Ghanaians are buying his ideas, then we are doomed forever. From Kwesi Biakoye, he goes on to say that Ghanaians must know that when failure stares you in the face of when failure is staring in the face of power-drunken people, and it's crystal clear that it is crystal clear that they are losing power. They behave abnormally. From Kwesi Biakoye district. Thank you, Kwesi, for your message. I'm receiving lots of messages on WhatsApp. The butterfly man should stop interjecting. and allow the program to be enjoyed by the viewers. Azu from Kaswa sent in this one. This one here says that, good morning, Bless. The Abuazi thermal plant was it not during President Rawlings' time? I stand to be corrected. Pasolo from Tamale sent this message. Thank you, Pasolo. Good morning. In regards to all, please, the Afafantog man should not be speaking about the energy issues. Tell him to stop the argument. Afafanto is a new party. I was using generator in Mohammed's time, but before he left power, Dumso was no more. That is a fact. Let him know. Right. Thank you so much for the message. This one here says that it was a champion who had Eric Akuse and not Rawlings from Officer Toro in Lashibi. I think we would have to do a fact check of that. This one here says Dr. Baumia's issue of not being part of the mess caused by this government is just like someone found taking in unholy meal, and when questioned, his reply was that he was only drinking the soup but not taking the unclean meat. We are serious as a country, so the concept must cease. Thank you so much for your message. This one here says, hello, Bless, good morning. President Rawlings added a thermal plant at Abuase. Okay, thank you for your message. There are lots of messages coming in, but so many messages coming in. But let me proceed to Dr. Ramsey Yunusa to hear what he has to say.
Bless, I sit on this panel with a learned colleague of mine and a brother, and he makes mention of the NDC solving Dumso. If you create a problem, I'm coming. If you lack the vision, to put down a firm foundation to mitigate the energy crisis in this country, and then you are caught up with your incompetence, and then you solve it at the end of the day, do we have to credit you for that? So please, it's like constantly 1 minus 1 is 0. So please, look, he made mention of President Kufuor. I do not communicate for the MPP. I want to put this right and in the eyes of the viewers. I am not a member of the MPP, and I do not communicate for the MPP. However, just as I reiterated, please, don't interject me, please. Just as I reiterated that the Ghanaian society would not take scripture lessons from a drinking bar. The NDC has been in power for almost 16 years. The MPP equally has been in power for 16 years. When we add all of you together, it's 32 years. 32 years down the drain. There is nothing to show for this country as far as the social and economic development of this country is concerned. When we sit down here and we're talking about Dumso in 2024, whilst other countries are thinking about how they can be prosperous and industrialized and move from the third industrial revolution to the fourth industrial revolution, you are here talking about Dumso, which it's a phenomenon that has been created by the lack of visionary leaders that we've had from the MPP and the NDC. And that is why one of the themes underpinning the movement for change is to move beyond the duopoly of the MPP and the NDC. Look, the NDC government, under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama, signed a take-or-pay agreement with independent power producers in this country. And Bless, let me give you an example. If you have a Kenke party and you want to buy Kenke from a Kenke seller, and you have an agreement, and you tell her that, oh, on this particular date, I need 50 balls of Kenke, right, for 50 guests. And she brings the 50 Kenke on that particular day, and the only 40 guests show out. You still have to pay for the 50, right? That is the agreement the NDC government had with the independent power producers, which cost Ghana a whopping 12 billion cedis. And you sit down here and you say Mahama is a solver of Dumso. When you sign what do you call it? Inflated contracts to the tune of causing the public purse a loss of 12 billion cedis, which could have been used to build hospitals, which could have been used to even extend electricity to rural areas. And you sit down here and you want to eulogize Mahama for solving doom. So please, we will not be blinded by that. When you sit down also here and you say that other governments are taking pastors to a particular site to go and pray. In 2013, led by Elvis Afriye Anka, you sponsored 200 pastors to go and pray in Israel for a pilgrimage so that you can be able to salvage the economic situation that you caused this country. And you sit down here and you want to dictate to us as to why we should believe in your candidature or the candidate of President Mahama. Please, we will not be blinded by that. And bless, let us be honest. You see, we have transformed the political realm into a realm of lies and liars. Politics is not only about lies. Let us come and speak facts and speak truth to the people of Ghana. A lot of people are suffering. The people of Ghana are suffering for 32 years now. There is no significant development in the lives of ordinary Ghanaians. And when I sit down here with a person who is an activist who says that Mahama is the most competent candidate in this current election, I think that, my brother, you've got a misplaced fact as far as eulogizing Mahama is concerned.
I don't think
it's so misplaced and please.
Let him conclude.
Please.
Kindly conclude.
Please, bless. What I'm trying to say is that if we had serious leadership and if we had serious political parties in this country that have the heart of the Ghanaian people, we will not have the current energy crisis and the current economic crisis that we face as a country. Right? Whilst other countries are thinking of how they can be able to leapfrog their people from destitution, they can be able to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, they can be able to salvage the economic situation post-COVID. We are still here stuck with the same anachronistic, repugnant phenomenon of doomsor, which both parties have failed to solve. And so please, the NDC and the MPP cannot say anything to Ghanaians to change their minds on the stance of how they've brought us down the drain since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1992 till date. Right. So please, the MPP and the NDC cannot transform this country. And the only person that can transform this country is the leadership and the candidature of Honorable Alan Kojo Tramantin that would unite this country and bring the best brains that are incorruptible from the MPP, the best brains that are incorruptible from the NDC, the best brains that are incorruptible from the academia and all works of life to salvage the current economic situation that we are in.
Right, thank you very much, Ramsey. Any more additions?
Oh, of course. But
I mean, I don't want us to go on and on with this. So just 2 minutes each, and we close chapter on this particular.
But anybody with a minimal standard of verbal sophistication understands that there's a difference between the two adjectives, credible and competent. I never used the word competent here. I chose my adjective. I said, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the most credible, the most formidable, the most winsome presidential candidate in the 2024 election. And I still stand by that. This is something that emanated from the inner chambers of my heart. That His Excellency is tried and tested. Okay? Look, if you have two opposition parties, what normally happens is that their approach or public utterances are consistent. Okay? So if you have one that is failing to lead the charge on the incumbent, that party or entity can only be an offshoot of the incumbent. what we have today is that a group of people, kleptocrats, have captured our country and are destroying our present, future. And when people, instead of them coming up publicly, courageously to tell the government or the president of the republic that, hello, you have destroyed this country. You told us that Mahama was incompetent. Bless. This was the word. We're all over the place describing His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as incompetent. An incompetent president. You said you would make a better manager of this economy. Bless. That was what you sold to us. You told us that 2016, for a country to be experiencing doomsday, was anachronistic. And that doomsday could only be a product of an incompetent leadership. Therefore, that incompetent leadership should be voted out. Ghanaians gave you the opportunity in 2016 by voting for you overwhelmingly. Today, we are experiencing doomsday. And when you came to power, you told us that the gentleman you succeeded actually switched on the light before he left. So if you are somebody today, instead of condemning the current administration that has landed us into this doomsday, but has turned on the opposition that is criticizing the government for not being able to keep the light on, then there's something,
Right. Thank you very much, Salon.
that is awkward.
Roughly 2 minutes.
Yes. You see, the point I want to make is that, you see, the ear of an elephant is part of the elephant. The trunk of an elephant is part of the elephant. The leg of the elephant is also part of the elephant. And when the elephant dies, all these parts die. Even if you cut off the leg to go and prepare a meal, the elephant is still dead. Today, the butterfly thinks that they are an offshoot of the elephant, and for that matter, they can run away from the bad track record of the NPP. Don't let us mistake in that. Alan Shermate has been part of in fact, he's a founding member of the NPP. So its successes and its failures, he's part of it. So let Ramsey not come and sit here today. Oh, would you let me speak? Please, when you were speaking, I was very quiet. When you were speaking, I was extremely quiet. So let me fire and land. I'm stating a fact. You have been part of the NPP. Alan Shermate has been part of the failures of the NPP. Yes. In fact, if he had performed credibly well in his ministry as trade, we wouldn't be where we are as a country. Sure. Come on, Gary, he couldn't even manage the starch. So let him be the last person to come and be telling us about this country. You have helped to mismanage this country. As a minister of trade for how many years and counting? You have done absolutely nothing to turn the fortunes of this country around. Then when we speak about development, you also want to come and speak. You don't have a voice on this table to speak when we talk about development. Sure. When we talk about the things that the NDC has done, you shouldn't be speaking. You should be apologizing. So I find it very insulting when people like Ramsey wake up in the morning, dress up, come to see you, and they think that they can hide under the umbrella and speak against the NDC. I will not take this any day anywhere. He should take this as a notice well served. We have been met with doomsday, and that point you keep making, that NDC calls doomsday. How? That's like you said, this is from an uninformed position. Simplicity. How can you say a political party has caused doomsday? How? When you were in power for 8 years and you didn't plan. When you were there with Alan Shermate as minister, at the time Shermate was trade minister, he didn't know that companies were growing. He didn't know that industries were being established, and for that matter, the demand for energy was going to go way and above the supply. He didn't know that.
Right, thank you very much.
Yet you come and sit here and you talk about butterfly.
Thank you.
My friend.
We've closed chapter on that particular topic, but we are going to some comments made by the Vice President. He says he's going to be, granting tax amnesty to businesses and individuals in 2025. But he didn't end there. He had some choice words for the Ghana Revenue Authority, where he told them that, look, You've been setting unrealistic targets for yourselves. You've been hounding businessmen and women. You've been chasing people. You've been harassing them. You need to put a stop to that. Well, the organized labor of the Ghana Revenue Authority Workers Union, they have strongly criticized the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, regarding remarks on revenue mobilization methods employed by the GRA. It says, organized labor in a statement dated Friday, March 22nd, 2024, described Dr. Bawumia's comments as unfortunate, viewing them as a slight against the diligent efforts of GRA employees. We would like to state unequivocally that we, the workers of GRA, find this statement unfortunate and consider it as an attack on the efforts of the hard-working staff of the authority, which, if not discontinued, would incur the displeasure of workers, disrupt revenue collection efforts, and breed industrial disharmony. They warn that such statements could lead to worker discontent, hinder revenue collection, and cause industrial unrest. The group further urged the Vice President to either acknowledge the significant advancements made by the GRA or refrain from making remarks that undermine their work. They highlighted the contradictions in Dr. Bawumia's stance, given his role as head of the economic management team and his awareness of the government set targets for the authority through the Ministry of Finance. It is strange that the Vice President, who also doubles as the head of the economic management team, could suggest that the authority gives itself unrealistic targets, while he is well aware that annual targets are assigned to the authority by the government through the Ministry of Finance. Indeed, the least we expect from the Vice President, if he would not appreciate the efforts of the authority in raising tax revenue, is not to put the lives of our hard-working staff at risk and jeopardy with such unfortunate comments. We also call on the President of the Republic of Ghana, H.E. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the GRA board, civil society organizations, and well-meaning Ghanaians to admonish political functionaries to desist from making such pronouncements and intervene swiftly, as this statement poses a major risk to revenue mobilization efforts going forward. Dr. Ramsey.
Yes, plus this issue is an issue that for me I am highly disappointed, and I'm not surprised at the same time, because you have a so-called erudite in economics and someone who has been touted as an economic wizkid by the MPP, now making such baseless and whimsical promises to businesses, and also insulting the integrity of the hard-working GRA staff who are doing their best to meet unrealistic tax targets set by he, the Vice President, as the head of the economic management team, and his group of sycophants that do not mean well for this country. Bless. For so long as a country, we've had a very high tax regime as far as our tax dispensation is concerned as a country. If you look at the current average in Africa, especially when you look at the average for tax to GDP ratio, we are plunging up, we are about swimming around, Ghana is swimming around 14.1%. And the average for Africa is 15.6%. If you also look at the number of people that pay taxes in this country, it's about 10% to the population, right? Yeah. Now, as the head of the economic management team, he has failed to put down tailored measures, do you understand, to make the tax net broaden and include more of our working class and even the informal sector to pay their dues as far as taxation is concerned in this country. And they go around to blame innocent workers of the GRA. I think that the GRA has come out clearly on it, and I want to make a statement that they have done so well for making this bold stance, because we will not allow someone who was once upon a time touted as an economic messiah to now come and shove these lies in the eyes of the public, that the GRA is harassing businesses in the first place. Who controls the GRA in the first? Isn't it the finance ministry and the incompetent former finance minister Ken Oforiatta? Right? Bless. And so I like to thank the GRA for their bold stance in this regards, and for them not to despair in the fight against informing the Ghanaian society on the truth as to the issues around or orbiting around our tax regime. Bless. Let me also add that the vice president, and it's surprising, Bless, has gone around making whimsical promises to individuals and industries that he's going to give them a one-year tax holiday. Plus, if you look at the current inflation rate, which is hovering around 35%, if you look at interest rate, which is about 35 to 40%, monetary policy rates of various central banks ensure that they increase the lending rates to reduce the, what do you call it, the money in circulation in an economy to be able to reduce inflation. The government, on the other side, has its fiscal policy by means of taxation to also reduce the amount of money in circulation. And so listen to this logic here. If you grant companies and individuals tax amnesty, wouldn't that affect the rise of inflation? It would definitely enable inflation to rise exponentially. And for such a person who has been touted as an erudite in economics to come out with such lame promises, look, we are doomed as a country. And the MPP means no good for this country.
Right. Thank you very much. Dr. Ramsey. Salo.
Yes, bless. You know, in 1979, I think 79, correct, the circumstances of this country today, just like that year, were gloom, like gloom and doom. And the managers of the economy at the time had the same approach to things, just like Akufo-Addo and Bawumia have been doing, by engaging in deception, downright lies, and just sheer dissimulation to lie to the public so they can stay in power or for their mandate to be renewed. I associate myself with what Ramsey said by giving a thumbs up to the Ghana Revenue Authority workers for coming out courageously, boldly, to tell the vice president or to expose the vice president that indeed it's the government that gives them the target. They set the target for them. So if the vice president, who is the head of the economic management team, is taking a swipe at them for setting a low standard for themselves, then the vice president is just confirming the public perception of him as an incorrigible liar. That is the public perception of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president of the republic, that he is a pathological liar. He is engaging in peddling falsehood. He is engaging in peddling counterfact. He knows, the vice president knows, that he doesn't stand a dog chance in this election. Yet he is going around as if he is some formidable person in the election by just latching onto straw by telling lies. The attitude or the conduct of the GRA people, that is what should be encouraged in Ghana. Institutions should speak. When government is lying, the institution should be bold that this government is lying. It shouldn't end with this one. When Osman, their party comes to power, come 2025, same should be done to them because it's curative. You understand? Such Ramsey.
Now you tell it to a prophet.
Oh, but that is what it is.
What do you mean by that is what it is?
Tell them you have 1 minute.
Come 7th January 2025, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be sworn in to power to steer the affairs of this country till 2028. That is what is on the ground. That is the fact on the ground. If you are struggling to snatch defeat from the, if you are struggling to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, that is the business you have embarked on. But I'm just telling you the fact that the sentiment on the ground today is that Ghanaians are desirous of bringing back His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Bless. Let me pay a homage to the good people of Central Town constituency, especially those in Mafi Kumase, Mafi Dover, Mafi Dugam, Bakpa Old Town, Bakpa New Town, Bakpa Vado, Atitekpo, Bekbo, Dokbo, for their dreams and aspirations that they will work hard to bring back the hope that is lost in this country. You know, Rawlings in 1979, when he named his daughter, you know the daughter is Zaneto, you are. When people see, sometimes I bring my lantern out there, why? We are in gloom. We are in gloom and doom. We need light. That's why he says Zaneto Kekelina do. You understand? So when I appear on television, and especially when Ramsey, the likes of Ramsey, are also saying that indeed there is gloom in this country, but just that their solution to bring the light on is different from the one that we think is the potent and reliable one.
Right.
So, bless. Zaneto Kekelina do.
Right. Thank you very much.
This group of kleptocrats should be kicked out.
Right. Finally,
Osman, you are the deputy youth organizer of the NDC. Something must be done about or to this gentleman, Napo. We must mount some pressure to get that guy out.
Right.
Yes, I think the vice president's call is very, very unfortunate, coming from no mean a person, but the chairman of the economic management team. It is
it's so intentional. It is so hypocritical.
It is the economic management team.
There are 40 new taxes being introduced. Very painful ones.
It is the economic management team.
Join us, fight it.
It is the economic management team that sits down to plan the economy of the year, and they are the ones who also sit down and project the inflows for the year, and they are the ones with the finance minister sitting as a member of the economic management team that goes to the board of GRA to determine to them the targets that they should meet. So in effect, the targets are being set by the vice president sitting as chairman of the economic management team. So GRA in itself doesn't in any way set any targets for themselves. So for you to set the target for them and turn around and come and pretend as if you are oblivious of how the targets are being set and say that GRA workers are going out and harassing people, I think Bawumia, just in his quest to become president of this country very soon, if you are not careful, will change his name, because it looks as if day in, day out, he keeps shifting the goalposts. Today, he's blaming everyone but himself. He's running away from the problems of the MPP. He's trying very hard to to run away from their own shadow. So, Bawumia should be bold. If you decide to buy a company, you buy the assets and its liabilities. You don't buy only the assets and leave the liabilities. Bawumia should be bold enough to accept his 8-year assets and liabilities, which we all know there are no assets, it's only liabilities. So he should be bold enough to accept the liabilities, because Ghanaians cannot decouple Bawumia and the current mess so far as the economy is concerned. Akufo-Addo told us that he has very limited knowledge of the economy, and for that matter, he was bringing Bawumia. So today, if the economy is in tatters, who then should we blame? Akufo-Addo is a lawyer. He doesn't know what demand curve is nor supply curve. He doesn't know what fiscal policy is. I mean, that's what he made us understand. That's why he brought the expert who is coming from the Bank of Ghana. He came with all the lies. So we cannot accept such tomfoolery coming from Bawumia with the greatest of respect, because it's an insult to us for him to be turning around these days, trying to blame everyone but himself. And I think yesterday I saw a video where the finance minister also went to meet the GRA workers, also encouraging them to continue working hard. So who then should we believe? Here's the vice president saying, who should we listen to? Here's the vice president saying that you should stop harassing businesses. And here's the finance minister coming to tell them that you are doing well, you've met your target, so continue working hard. Please, I think there's chaos in the camp of the MPP, and they need to take us seriously.
More than 100 messages on WhatsApp. I want to thank you so much. But before we go, I'd extend some birthday felicitations. First to Mr. Prosper Mensah. He works here with us at Pan African Television. He's part of our technicians. He's actually in the control room, making sure that everything in relation to sound is in order right now as we speak. So, Mr. Prosper, happy birthday to you. We appreciate you so much. We pray that you enjoy more, more days here on earth, more years here actually on earth, and we appreciate everything that you do for us. You wanted to say something?
Yes, bless. I would like to.
I hope it is not political.
No, but
right.
Of course.
I also react to it. So better you don't even give it something against
right. I hope it is not political. Let's go. Let's go.
But if you say something against my party, I have to respect. That's the matter. If it's against
Allah. He won't. It is not political. It is not political. It is not political. It is not political. Allow. Proceed.
Yes, I would like to extend my profound wishes to and happy birthday to your senior technical man, Prosper. I would like to say a very happy birthday to him, because without them, I'm not sure we would hold a very successful program.
So we join him.
Bless. I would like to end on this note and leave a remark to the NDC and the MPP and their proxy groups that in this 21st century, can I speak, please? Right, we are blessed. It's unfair. Blessed. Right, blessed.
I'll talk to you. Look at the time. Blessed.
In this 21st century, David defeat Goliath. In this 21st century, David will still defeat Goliath. In this 21st century.